Hey there, thanks for joining me. Today we're talking about a watch from Raven and Nodus. This is a collaboration between these two brands, one based in California, one based in Kansas. The watch itself is the TrailTrekker, a unique true GMT field watch priced under $1,000. There's a lot to love about this watch. Most notably, right off the bat, is this uniform matte gray texture and color. The case and bracelet get a gray DLC, while the bezel and dial get a sage Cerakote treatment. This is hardened ceramic coating. The tones that they've managed to achieve here are really spectacular. They're powerful but subtle at the same time. The sage in particular in the dial and bezel is something that I really love. It draws you in for a closer look. The hints of green are just barely there, but it really takes on the warmth and tones of its surrounding environment. This is a watch that wears this personality on its sleeves as a result. This is big personality because of its approach to its colorway, but it's also quite subtle at the same time. And you can take this watch a few different directions. This is a watch that feels like it lives between a couple of genres, which is something of a trend that we've seen in the microbrand space over the past few years. It allows them to explore these spaces more creatively than just adhering to the archetypes of each of the genres. Now, clearly there is some inspiration coming from obvious places in this watch, but the way that it's been done and their approach to it makes it all its own. This watch is using the Miyota 9075 automatic movement. This is Miyota's new-ish GMT movement that brings true GMT functionality, which means yes, it has an independently adjustable hour hand. This is otherwise known as a flyer GMT. It's not the most refined movement of the world, and you notice that as soon as you wind and set the watch, but that doesn't really seem to matter here. That's kind of besides the point. It fits with the theme of this watch rather perfectly, and most importantly, allows this watch to be under $900. The case itself measures 39.5 millimeters in diameter and about 46.5 millimeters from lug to lug. It's also just under 12 millimeters in thickness. That's another advantage of that movement, allowing it to be packaged in such a tidy footprint. This watch wears really, really well as a result. A bit like the Explorer 2 16570, of which the comparisons can be made. Now, it doesn't wear exactly like that because the shape of the case is a little bit different, but it's similar enough to merit note. And that's a very good thing for this watch. What's really special about this watch is how these colors end up coming together and achieving something of a mood here. The result is something that drips with personality, but also really begs to be used. This watch works really great out and about, adventuring in the field, and it's something that doesn't really feel like it should be treated too preciously, which I really appreciate about watches like this. The dial is highly legible thanks to these large hour markers having a high amount of contrast against that matte, dark background. One niggle is the hands. They get a little thin, and the lume applied in them is also a little thin, so they can be hard to find in lower lighting situations. Overall, though, this is a super easy watch to read and get along with and use. The bracelet is another element that leaves a little bit to be desired, but it fits with the rest of the watch just fine. It also comes with quick release tabs in the end links, so swapping it out for a fabric or a NATO strap is really easy. If you opt to keep the bracelet on, though, the clasp does have the Nodus quick adjustment system built in it. Making quick adjustments on the fly, also very easy. They've nailed each of the details here where it matters, and they've kept the price at $875, which is exceptionally impressive for a watch like this. Overall, this watch is another big step forward for the micro-brand space in what can be achieved. The idea and the execution of this watch has been handled exceptionally well by Raven and by Nodus, and it's something that I hope will open more pathways forward for watches like this at a conceptual level and collaboration between two brands that have a lot to bring to the table together. Now, the pre-order for this watch has closed, and the shipments for those pre-orders will be commencing this summer. However, you can keep an eye out for a restock of more inventory coming around that time as well. I'll leave links to Nodus and Raven down below. I highly recommend checking both brands out. I really love the style of this watch, and these colors must be seen in person to be fully appreciated. I've got a lot more of my full thoughts on this watch now live at thedeeptrack.com. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so, and if you enjoy this content, a like and a share helps out a lot. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, take care.